the relationship. He's just as a father to me. And I've obeyed him and followed him through these years. And don't you know, Mordecai's the surprise of the king. Wouldn't you know that? You're kidding. He's your father. He's your cousin. You're related to this Mordecai. And, you know, now you have the king realizing that through Esther, that her cousin, Mordecai, who was like a father, that he played such a great role in the king's good welfare over these past several years. That he would think back and he would realize it was him that really saved my life against this plot that was against me. And now it would be through his communications with Esther on the outside that would encourage all of this to be brought about to reveal the plot of Haman, and it would be through Mordecai. And so you have, number one, the king's admiration of Esther, which you can see developing, you know, through these years, that he thinks very highly of her. His life being saved, Haman's threat removed, all these things in part due to the behind-the-scenes effort of Mordecai. And so now I think that where he put Haman back in chapter 2 or 3, chapter 3, when he put Haman and rose him up in position above all the princes, second in command in the kingdom, has his signet ring, gives that to him, puts all that trust in Haman to do whatever, make whatever decree, trust you. He's basically got control of his kingdom. And he thinks that he could trust Haman into that position. But now the king knows of a man who he can really trust. A man who has proven his trust and proven himself to be trustworthy to the king. Now he's got somebody that he really has confidence that he can put into this position. And so he gives Mordecai the signet ring that Haman had. And don't you know, he gives it to him this time with a little more care. But he does have somebody that's been proven trustworthy. Interesting, isn't it? And I mean, just to think about that. Yes?
Mordecai, Esther living proof that it's always right.
Mm-hmm.
The circumstances that most appalling or devastating.
Yeah.
Always right.
Yes. That's right. Yes.
I don't know this for a fact, so right off the bat there's a disclaimer. I made up in my mind that here you have King Ahasuerus, and he is seeing the man that helped shape this virtuous woman,
Yes.
Esther.
Yes.
And through his wise counsel, as you said, and we read, has already saved innocent life and exposed the treachery of others around the king. But this is also the man who's had a significant influence on his virtuous woman that
Yes.
is so impressive.
Yes. That's right. And that's one of the things I was thinking the same thing, because the admiration that he has for Esther, why was she so impressed with her? Look at her raising. And she followed his direction and the things that he would guide her and advise her to do. She would do it. She did it faithfully. And, you know, even up to this point of approaching the king and that, you know, who knows such a time as this? And she follows through with that. But that's exactly right. I mean, why was she so attractive to him? There was something about her character. I mean, there's her beauty, of course, but there's something about her character that won his attention, but she was in the great favor of everybody around her. They all liked her. And so I think that's an impressive point to make. I appreciate that. Okay? Yes?
It reminds me of Boaz's attraction for Ruth.
Yes.
And the spirit she had, and the meekness that she had, and also that she followed Naomi's instructions to the letter.
Yes.
Sort of like Esther doing here. It seems like she's kind of strategically, placing what she's going to do and how she's going to approach this.
That's right.
At the right time.
That's right. That's a great parallel. I mean, it's almost to the T with the parallel with Ruth. So I like that. Okay? All right. So now Mordecai has this next great position. But now, is the problem solved? Because here we go. It seems like we've got resolution. Haman's taken out of the picture. Now, the truth is known. The king knows the relationship with Mordecai. Mordecai's put in position. Problems solved, right? You would think it would all just go away. That they would think that, okay, that decree that Haman wrote, forget about it. It's not happening. You would think it would be like that, right? It's just not that way. I mean, what is it in the Persian kingdom? It's written, it's written. And that can't be done, it can't be revoked. And so Esther recognizes there's still this decree. We still have a problem. My people are still at risk. I'm still at risk. And so is Mordecai, while this decree is in place. And so she's imploring the king to help and asks that he revoke the decree, but the king knows this can't be revoked. But what's the solution? What does he do? There you go. So that's what Esther and Mordecai write, but he says, you make a decree. He's talking to Esther and Mordecai now, together. You make a decree. Whatever you wish, let it be done. And so, in their wisdom, they say, well, if that can't be undone, then we will write a decree that on the 12th month, 13th day, the same day, that the Jews are permitted to defend themselves. That they are permitted to keep themselves from harm against anybody that would wish to do them harm. So it doesn't undo the first decree, but it certainly puts the Jews in a position where they could defend themselves. Okay? All right. So now we have two decrees in force. First one, I mean, they're both set for the same day, the 12th month, 13th day. And we have Haman's decree. Anyone can attack, kill, annihilate any and all the Jews, young and old, little children and women, and plunder their possessions. Take all that they have. The Jews are, and the intent was what? To wipe them out. Destroy these people so that they do not exist anymore. That was the purpose of that decree. Now, second decree now is Esther and Mordecai's decree, and the Jews are permitted to defend themselves, to kill, to annihilate all forces of people who would assault them. And I just thought it was interesting to look at the timeline there that you see. We see some markers here. When did Haman write his decree? He wrote it on the 1st month and the 13th day. And Esther and Mordecai's decree was written on the 3rd month and the 23rd day. So from the time that their decree was written, the second one, there's 9 months, basically, almost 9 months to pass before this 12th month comes. Okay? And just for reference, the 12th month and the 13th day ends up being somewhere around the end of February, beginning of March in our calendar. Okay? So that's just a little reference point. Okay, now, that's the end of my slideshow, but that's not the end of the class. So, okay, let's look at further what happens in chapter 8. So they write the decree, and the decree is written and sent out in what way? How is it sent? How is everybody alerted to this new decree? I'm sorry? Writers. Yes, couriers. So they write the decree. It's written up. It's sent out. Fast horses and to 127 provinces to let everybody know there's a new decree in place as well. Okay. Now, so verse 13, so that the Jews would be ready on that day to avenge themselves on their enemies. So they ride out on the royal horses. Decree was issued, also right there in Shushan. And now, verse 15, look at Mordecai's position. Here's another little indicator of where he's lifted up to. Mordecai went out from the presence of the king in royal apparel of blue and white, with a great crown of gold and a garment of fine linen and purple. And the city, what is the initial? If I don't die before, I'm going to die on the 13th day of the 12th month. This is it. We're done. And to receive this a couple of months later and to realize we have a chance now. Now we'll be able to defend ourselves. Maybe there's hope and there's great excitement in that. And so the Jews had gladness, a feast and a holiday in verse 17. And this is so interesting. What happens? What do some of the people do at this finding? They become Jews. Some of the people that weren't Jews, they become Jews. For fear of the Jews fell upon them, and they realize, I know what side I need to be on right now if